Cyberpunk 2077 is not too far away now, and ever since the E3 trailer in 2019, when we did first start seeing Johnny Silverhand, players have been asking, who actually is he? What is his role within the Cyberpunk story? So in this video, we are going to be going through everything to do with Johnny Silverhand, starting from the moment he's born to the moment of Cyberpunk 2077. If you do want to see me streaming this game live when it does finally drop in November, there is a link in the description down below which will take you over to the Twitch channel. There currently we are streaming Red Dead Online, but as soon as Cyberpunk comes out, we are definitely going to be hitting Cyberpunk with daily streams. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, there is a link in the description down below. So, Johnny Silverhand. Johnny Silverhand is a name that every American knows. He is an ex-US military veteran who later changed the rockaboy movement to what it is today. He was the lead singer of a band called Samurai and one of the most prominent figures that fought against the corporations. But it didn't start that way. Johnny Silverhand isn't actually his real name. We do not know the exact year in which he was born, but when he was born, his name was Robert John Under, and at this point in his life he was not famous. As he got a bit older, he did join the US military, and in 1990 the first Central American conflict kicked off, and it was an absolute bloodbath run by a corrupt government. If you want to know more about the timeline in Cyberpunk, because Cyberpunk is based off the same universe as ours, but from the 1980s and onwards, events took place which completely altered the course. The first Central American conflict in 1990 was one of those events. So if you do want to see the full timeline, there is a link in the description down below, as well as there is a card on screen right now which you can click and it will take you to that video. In the Central American conflict that started in 1990, most of the soldiers realized what was happening. They understood about the government secrets and they were exposed. Many of the American soldiers dropped their red, white and blue weapons, and a lot of the soldiers were also abandoned by the government. Robert at the time was part of it, and he decided he wasn't going to fight in a corrupt war, so he went back home to Night City to begin a new life. The military changed his life forever, and from this point he also changed his name. He decided to go for Johnny Silverhand. His middle name was already John, so he decided to actually have that, and the Silverhand nickname came from the fact that he lost his arm during this Central American conflict. A lot of soldiers lost limbs, and that is when the demand for cyberware started to kick in, with soldiers losing specific body parts. And later John managed to get a cybernetic arm. In the 2000s, his rebellion came in to form a band called Samurai. Samurai was a band made up of these members: Johnny Silverhand, Kerry Uridine, Denny, Nancy Isis, and Henry. His music was revolutionary and the world loved him. He rose to the top of the charts in record time with his band. In 2008, the Samurai band did split up, as the keyboard player Nancy was in an abusive relationship at the time. When she couldn't take it anymore, she pushed her abusive boyfriend out the window, and as a result from this, she was taken to prison. Johnny was still one of the world's most popular musicians, and he wanted to carry on his music career by going solo. And he also wanted to continue to push his anti-corporation and anti-government message. There was many music records that wanted to sign him. DBS Music wanted to sign him so desperately that they threatened him and even blackmailed him. They threatened to reveal that he was a deserter back in the Central American conflict. Obviously, Johnny did not sign with DBS. Instead, he went with Universal Music and released an entire album called Sins of Your Brothers, admitting that he was a deserter and revealing all the terrible things the government ordered. The album was widely successful and changed public's perception of what it meant to be a deserter. In 2020, things really changed for Johnny. Johnny and his girlfriend Alt Cunningham were out for a walk when she was kidnapped by thugs working for Arasaka. They wanted to use Alt Cunningham for her incredible talent as a programmer. They wanted her to make a software called the Soul Killer that would be able to copy and download any netrunner's mind. It was dangerous software that would have resulted in killing the person that used it, but that mind would then be copied and downloaded. With Alt Cunningham being kidnapped, Johnny Silverhand made a plan. He gathered a strike team and infiltrated Arasaka offices so that he could save Alt Cunningham. He called in a favor from all the old band members. Samurai gathered together and performed an entirely free show. The show was right outside the front of Arasaka offices, but unfortunately the strike team made it there just moments too late. Cunningham was dead, however, while her body was left as a husk, her mind became trapped inside the Arasaka mainframe, and Johnny planned to get it back. Ever since these events, Johnny has been missing, and stories have evolved over the years, and legend has it he went in to find Alt Cunningham, but there was more than a few obstacles in the way. The biggest obstacle was a Borg called Adam Smasher, a once man who is now more machine than flesh. Adam Smasher gunned down Silverhand with a rifle, but his body was never found because during the time of these events, this was also the time when the fourth corporate war was happening between Arasaka and Militech. And if you have seen my timeline video of the Cyberpunk universe, you would know that Militech took a nuclear device into the Arasaka Twin Towers and blew them up. So this legend is suggesting that Johnny died moments before this nuclear device went off, which led to the towers being completely demolished and also taking away Johnny's body with it, and Night City also being completely inhabitable for certain areas due to the radiation. So his body was just never found. But whether or not you believe the story, ever since his disappearance, people have mourned Johnny Silverhand. There is graffiti throughout Night City that simply says, "Where's Johnny?" Even decades later, people hold out hope that Johnny Silverhand is somewhere out there, ready to raise some hell and lead a revolution. That is Johnny Silverhand's story. What we know for Cyberpunk 2077 is that Silverhand acts as V's guide to the city and will be with him or her for most of the game. You don't see Johnny Silverhand in person, but you are haunted by his digital ghost. And this just puts the theory in motion within the Cyberpunk community that Alt Cunningham was successful with creating the Soul Killer. It is now possible to copy and download any Netrunner's mind. After Johnny made it up to the Arasaka Twin Towers, he saw that Alt was dead, and to fight off Arasaka, he later copied his mind with Soul Killer, leaving him dead within the Cyberpunk world but keeping him alive within the database. And this would just make sense why we now see him as a digital ghost. But this is just a theory. The next part of Johnny Silverhand's story is the events of Cyberpunk 2077, which we do have to wait for, but it isn't too far away now. As said at the beginning of the video, if you are as excited for this game as I am and you're wanting to see as much content as possible when this game does finally drop in November, then there is a link in the description down below which will take you over to the Twitch channel. We will be streaming this daily when it does finally drop. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did enjoy, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. But for now, I'm going. So see ya.